Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a combination of a favorites slash new things to my studio slash things that I'm just kind of enjoying in general in life right now. And some of these things are suggestions that you all have had, so I wanted to just kind of circle back and mention how great they've been. And yeah, it's just kind of a random smattering of things, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. The first thing is so tiny and yet so great at the same time, and you all have suggested it multiple times, both here and on Instagram, and that is pencil extenders, because as you may know, I like to work way down to the little teeny tiny nubbins of my pencils just to get all of that use out of them. And lots of people would leave comments mentioning how funny it looked to see me just holding onto that little tiny pencil stub. And these pencil extenders have been great. I'm already planning on getting another package of them just because it's so much more comfortable to work from holding a normal sized, something that seems more like a normal sized pencil as opposed to that little tiny stubby end. So really simple, really basic, but something I wish I had gotten a lot sooner, and I've just been loving them a lot lately. So yes, thank you for that suggestion. The second thing that I'm really enjoying, or have really enjoyed rather, since I finished it up last week, is the book Art and Fear, and that is by David Bales and Ted Orland. And this book was written in the 90s, I believe, and so I had heard of it kind of from other people, and I think in college I remember some folks reading it, but I had never read it myself. And it's a short little book. I actually got it from, downloaded it from my library as an audiobook, and as an audiobook it's only 3 hours, or just over 3 hours, so I don't know what the exact page count is, but that's a pretty short book. So it was really readable. I just kind of had it on as I was working in an afternoon and listened to the whole thing, and it was so good. It was just really encouraging and inspiring and affirming of a lot of things that I feel like I've already seen to be true in my vocational life as an artist. So yeah, I loved the book. I can't recommend it enough. I wish I had read it sooner, just like I wish I had gotten the pencil extender sooner. So already sensing a theme in this video. It was full of so many good quotes, and I don't know how to pick just a few, but I'm gonna read. I already have a bunch up on post-it notes on my wall, so I'm just gonna read a couple to share with you all. Vision is always ahead of execution, and it should be. I love that quote because it reminds me of how I always have more in my head than I'm actually able to get onto the page, and I feel so much more than I'm able to communicate with my art, and that is a really frustrating place to just kind of constantly be in, but it was a good reminder that that's normal, and that frustration kind of can be a driver for making art. So I love that quote. And then this one's great too. This is something I feel like I have talked about this theme in other videos, but just so good. You make good work by making lots of work that isn't very good. And again, just really resonates with me and seems really true. So yeah, whether you get it from your library or you listen to it as an audiobook, read it the old-fashioned way, whatever, I highly recommend it. And it's especially great for people who maybe don't have time to read a super long book, but still want something that's interesting and inspiring. So there you have it, the book Art and Fear. The next thing that I have been enjoying is a new pen in my life, and I have seen these around as well, so I'm by no means the first person to mention these, but it's Le Pen, and I found a couple of these at the art supply store the other day. I actually went to a local art supply store, which didn't have a huge selection, but it was nice just to go to a place that's in my neighborhood. And they had a little case of these, so I got a couple, and I've just been really enjoying them. They write really well, and I like how the look of the pen is very nondescript, and the branding is minimal. So yeah, just a little thing, but something I have been enjoying. And the next thing I've been enjoying is something I have already talked about in a previous video, but it just really came in super handy the past couple of weeks, and that is my light pad from DB Meyer. and I had a couple of really large pieces to get done. And so transferring was harder than it usually is, and it kind of took longer, or had the potential to take much longer. But because of having the light table, the light box, the light pad, oh my gosh, yes, the light pad, I was able to just really quickly and easily transfer onto this super thick paper that I was working on. And even though it was larger than the light pad itself, it was easy. I just taped a sketch on the back of the paper and kind of moved it around and transferred it to the BFK Reeves paper that way. So worked really well. I was really glad I had it, and yeah, I used it several times in the past month. And speaking of the BFK Reeves paper, that's the next thing I have really been enjoying. I feel like I had kind of been in between papers for a while, and back when I think when I started this channel, I had, which is just a little bit over a year and a half ago, I had already been, prior to that, I had been using Canson papers, which I really liked, but they changed the formula or changed how they were made or something, and the texture just didn't quite work for me anymore, and it was pilling up a lot. And so I had been on the hunt for a new paper, and I've been using the Reeves and some other papers as well, but I've been using the BFK Reeves for a while now, and I think I can finally say that it is my new go-to paper, and I've just been found myself reaching for it in almost every project recently. There have been a couple that I've used some other kinds of paper just because I wanted more texture, but for the most part, it's just been really great, really reliable paper, and it doesn't warp, doesn't pill, it's super sturdy. Yeah, so, oh, and I love that there are some different colors too. There's the like pure white, and then a lot of the time you just have like pure white or cream, but they have this kind of in between. I forget the name for it, but it's like a softer white. And yeah, I've been loving that as well. So that's my new go-to paper, and one of my recent favorites. So the next thing I have been enjoying was also kind of an impulse purchase from the art supply store, and that is the 10% gray colored pencils, Prismacolor colored pencils. And they have the 10% cool gray, warm gray, and French gray. And I had the, it's either 20 or 25%, but I had the 20 or 25% of all of those colors, all those shades for a while now, and enjoyed those and used those, but I didn't have anything that was the 10%. And I have just found that they're so useful, especially for doing a kind of a really faint shadows, or when I want something to have like more of a subtle highlight, just for doing little bits of texture. Like when I've done a few pieces recently that had like condensation on the outside of a cup, and they were useful for that sort of thing too, where I didn't quite want a pure white, but I also needed it to be really light. So yeah, I have the 10% French gray and cool gray right now, and I'm going to get the 10% warm gray. Yeah, I've just really been enjoying those and found those really useful. So the next thing isn't really a favorite, it's just something that I've found myself doing again and have really enjoyed, and that is just writing things down on a piece of paper. And I am really big into the Notes app on my iPhone. Typically, if I have an idea, I just like really quickly put it in there. I use it for lists, I use it for all sorts of things, but I had been noticing that while I was working, I was having ideas, or I was thinking either like an idea for a new project or a video, or sometimes I would just think, I need this colored pencil, I'm running low on this color, or I need more of whatever supply. So I've just been keeping a piece of paper on my desk as I'm working, and just jotting my thoughts down on there. I know that's like probably sounds silly to even mention that in a video, but the past month or so, I've just really been enjoying that and feeling like I'm able to capture more ideas than when I have to like reach for my phone and get into the app. I don't know. So yeah, that's something I've been liking, and I am considering whether I want to get some sort of like a little book to keep stuff in so that I can save it and have like a record of it. But yeah, there's something also just about the tactile nature of it. And I like that most of the time when I'm doing that, I'm actually working on making something, I'm illustrating or painting. So it's nice to not have to get out of that level, I guess. It feels like just kind of a slide over to the side as opposed to, oh, let me like open up my technology or reach for my phone or whatever, because I think I've mentioned this in other videos, but when I'm working, I try really hard to just have my phone behind me, out of sight. I try not to be looking at Instagram or Twitter or whatever, just because I want to very much stay focused on what I'm working on. And if I'm looking at like something that somebody said or a comment, or especially if it was critical, then there's nothing that will like take me out of that creative space quite so fast as doing that. So I like that it keeps me writing things down on a piece of paper, keeps me away from writing things down on my phone, and also taking a minute to check Facebook. So yeah, that's just been something that's been really great for me recently. I've also been really loving this new desk lamp. I had one for a while that I think I had just gotten at like Staples or something, and it worked okay, but it had the swing arm, and the little joint on the swing arm was getting really loose, and even if you tightened it a lot of the time, the lamp would still kind of come careening down on what I was working on. So yeah, so I have this new lamp and I love the look of it. I like how it's kind of modern, but it doesn't feel cold. And I also love how the arm stays where I put it and it doesn't come crashing down onto my work. So yeah, that's a new addition to the studio. So yeah, I think that is about it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. And let me know if you have any questions or ideas for future videos. I am always open to those, so leave those in the comments below if you do. And of course, if you're new here, please subscribe, say hi. That's it. I hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.